Good afternoon. I'm County Executive Ken Jenkins, and this afternoon we are here to announce the kickoff of our Gun Violence Prevention Task Force and the appointments that we have. This afternoon we have been joined by so many wonderful individuals that are involved in this. We also have many great members of our team that are out in the audience with us. But on the stage here with me is County Legislator Shanae Williams, Jesus R., and Deputy County Executive Richard Wishney, who are the co-chairs of the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force, Joanne Dunn, who is our Executive Director of the Youth Shelter Program of Westchester, and Barry Grubout, who is the New York State Advocate Lead for the Moms Demand Action. You know, this particular task force was appointed by both the County Executive's Office and the County Board of Legislators, which consists of experts, advocates, and diverse community representatives from around Westchester County. The task force is committed to unifying and strengthening efforts across Westchester to combat gun violence. While Westchester County has seen a significant decline in recent years, one death is one too many. That's why we're continuing to work closely with all of our community partners and law enforcement to tackle gun violence headfirst, ensuring every effort is made to save lives and foster safer neighborhoods. The goals of the task force include changing the social conditions and address the influences that lead young people to resort to gun violence, foster collaboration across all agencies and levels of government, including the county, town, village, city, and law enforcement agencies, facilitate collaboration between nonprofit and for-profit businesses already engaged in this work, engage the community in meaningful dialogue, including victims and perpetrators of gun violence, advocate for the necessary resources to support these efforts. Our task force, which is going to be led by our liaison for this, the Honorable Catherine Borgia, who is the liaison for the Gun Violence Task Force, who's standing here with us as well, is going to work with organizations that are currently making strides in rooting out gun violence and foster collaboration across those agencies, leveraging each other's resources. The task force aims to identify and implement best practices to prevent and ultimately eliminate gun violence from Westchester County. At this time, I'm going to ask my legislator, the Honorable Shanae Williams, to give some words and her thoughts about the work and her work that she was done previously in the city of Yonkers and here in Westchester County to prevent gun violence. Shanae.
Thank you. Thank you, Let's do that again. Thank you, County Executive Kenneth Jenkins, for bringing us all here together to announce this amazing task force. Last year, when I had this grand idea to put this task force together for Westchester, it wasn't out of fear that Westchester residents were running wild on the streets with guns, but it is out of concern that there are illegal guns. There are people who have access to guns that maybe shouldn't, that could become a danger, and we want to make sure that we're protecting our communities and keeping Westchester safer. So I'm happy that we're at this point in this new year where we can finally get going with volunteers, right? Because we're not paying any of these members that's standing up here or any of you out in the audience to be a part of this task force. You are putting your time and effort towards something great for our communities in Westchester, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you to all of our partners. I look forward to the work that we're going to do. Thank you to my colleagues at the Board of Legislators, some who are here today, Jewel Williams-Johnson and Erica Pierce. Thank you for always showing up for Westchester residents. So let's keep it going, and we hope that anyone out there that is watching this, that you understand that we care more about you as individuals and your families, and we want to make sure that you have a long and healthy and happy life here in Westchester, and that's why we're putting this task force together for you. So thank you.
Thank you, Shanae. We're going to hear right now from one of our co-chairs, which is Jesus R., and he's going to give us his thoughts about being a co-chair of this great task force.
Thank you. First and foremost, apologies, I lost my voice a little bit, but first First and foremost, congratulations, Ken Jenkins, for making history and becoming county exec. And also, we'd like to acknowledge our former county We'd like to acknowledge our former county exec, George Latimer, who's gone on to become our congressman. I think there's an extraordinary opportunity for him to follow up with our work to now leverage his federal access to resources to join what we put together here as a team. There are very few people in the world who have my level of experience in gun violence in every aspect of the issue. I've been a perpetrator of gun violence, I've been a victim of gun violence, and now I'm a preventer of gun violence. In our initial announcement, we talked about me being honored by two presidents, once by Barack Obama as a champion of change for my work in gun violence prevention and working with the United Nations. And I'm excited to bring that depth of knowledge and experience to Westchester County. There's a big investment in technology now. We have some of the brightest people in society investing trillions of dollars into AI with this idea that we're going to make computers smarter than us as human beings. But how can we make that much investment when we still haven't solved for our mental health? As a society, we shouldn't be at a stage where we're still killing each other. Violence is senseless. And a lot of you know my work with SIC and Guns for Cameras and Glocks for Ox. I don't subscribe to mediocrity. If we're going to do this, some people are okay with saying, well, we'll never be able to eradicate gun violence. And if we save 1 or 2 lives, we're doing a good job. But I don't think that's enough. I think we really have to set the bar at the highest level because we're talking about life or death. And like Shanae said, this isn't a rampant issue, but in the few areas that it is an issue, we need to put the resources there to prevent it completely. So I'm excited to work with this entire team, with everybody that they're going to announce to be a part of the task force. Thank you for volunteering your time. I think we can make a tremendous difference, and our goal is to eliminate gun violence completely. Thank you.
Right. At this time, we're going to have the outstanding director of the youth shelter, Joanne Dunn, give us her words.
Thank you, County Exec. That's right. County Exec, I'm super excited. So I had to prepare a speech because if not, I'll go off cuff because folks know I just left a meeting where we talked about the coordinated crisis response in regards to gun violence. And when we talk about gun violence, we have to talk about the intersectionality of gun violence and how it doesn't just affect one community, it affects all communities. And we have to take a public health approach to gun violence. So good morning again, everyone, or good afternoon. I'm honored to be here today to speak with all of you about this critical work that we are doing to address gun violence in our community. At the Youth Shelter Program of Westchester, we've seen firsthand the devastating impacts gun violence has on our youth and their families. Our mission has always been to provide a safe space and support system for young people, helping them redirect their lives away from violence and toward positive futures. Through our work, we recognize that preventing gun violence requires a comprehensive approach that includes both prevention, intervention, and recovery efforts. That's why I'm hopeful that this task force can extend its efforts across the county by partnering with community groups and local municipalities. By working together, we can develop strategies that not only prevents violence before it starts, but also intervenes and provides the recoveries to support those already affected and those that will be affected. And so together we can save lives, help create safer communities, and heal forward as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. The next gentleman that we're going to bring up is from his work in Moms Demand Action. And Barry and the people have been doing a tremendous job from tragedy, turning tragedy into some triumph, but the continuing that work. And the New York lead for that is our good friend, Barry Grubbout. And we're going to have him come up and say a few words at this time.
Thank you, County Executive Ken Jenkins. Rolls out nicely. thanks for inviting me to participate in this. And we've got an incredible team of people coming from disparate areas to bring this focus together. Just a little bit of context. We think of New York, first of all. And we're a national organization, and I work with folks in states like Alabama and Oklahoma, and where they don't have the laws and where the gun violence is just completely out of control. But New York, it's never been easy either. Until, from 2013 to 2018, we could not get a single piece of legislation to the floor of the New York State Senate for 5 years on gun violence prevention. Not a single bill would come up for a vote because the group that was running the Senate did not want to put their members in a position of voting against common sense gun laws. We've done a great job in the last 6 years or so. Starting in 2019, we've now passed more than 40 good gun laws in New York State. That gives us the second strongest gun laws in the country and the fifth lowest rate of gun violence in the country. And I'm going to repeat that, the fifth lowest rate of gun violence in the country, because, nothing against the media who might be here in our audience, but it doesn't get reported that way. It doesn't get presented that way. But gun violence, as others have said, one act is too many. We saw a horrendous, I went to high school at Hillcrest High School in Jamaica, Queens, which many of us saw. There was a mass shooting less than a mile from my old high school last week, where 10 people were shot, and it permeates every community, including Westchester. We think of Westchester is safe, first of all, but it's not safe enough, right? And what I'm glad to see here is the representation of Board of Legislators members, not just from the southern part of the county, but also from the northern part of the county. My mother-in-law, who passed away a couple of weeks ago, but she lived in Somers, in a building where the adjacent building we saw a shooting just last month, right? Somers also a place where in 2024 we saw a woman who was a doctor kill her child, right, with guns. So we see that there, and then we saw, this week, a horrendous shooting here in New Rochelle. The thing that's really important here, and why I'm so happy we're doing this at the county level, is that violence doesn't stop at village or town lines, right? Just as the same problem, like New York with our gun laws, we should have no gun violence in New York State, but guns will cross over from Virginia and Pennsylvania and others. And it's the same thing here. And for too long, we've seen this sort of parochial view of it where it's saying, well, this is my community here. But, the guy who wears red in your town grew up in this adjacent town, and their cousin was is in the Bronx, and the violence permeates the community. So we really need to bring this together. We've got a great, I talked about what the state has done, but Westchester at the county level has been, fantastic, a leader in passing ordinances that have then become state laws later, or have been copied by other communities around the country. So I love the commitment. I'm so appreciative to be a part of this, but we want to roll up our sleeves and do the work. It's not about issuing press releases.
That's right.
So,
Thank you.
And thank you, Barry, and especially talking about that. And again, an ounce of prevention is always worth a pound of cure, right? And the reality is that we have so many tremendous individuals that have been doing this work around Westchester County. I wanted to make sure that we shout out again our legislators that aren't standing up here but are with us today, Jewel Williams Johnson and Erica Lang Pierce, that are here as well. We have a dedicated county team that's working on this, but in the audience as well, we have Chief Luciano from our Department of Public Safety. We have Commissioner Michael Orth, who has done so many work in community mental health. I promised him that one day I would get an opportunity. I think I'm going to get some time to be able to change that name, because there's so many different things that go under community mental health and doing this work. And also in the audience, we have Ernest McFadden, who is our Executive Director of the Youth Bureau. And some folks may remember remember that under Governor Hochul, they distributed funds for gun violence prevention that went to 13 different agencies around Westchester County that are funded to help try to do this work, to continue to work with the partners that we have here on the stage and around the county to make a difference. So Ernest McFadden from our Youth Bureau as well, that was charged by New York State to distribute those dollars to those agencies, and they gave us the list of the agencies that were supposed to get those dollars. They got those dollars, and they have been doing the great work. And with that level of partnership, continue to make a difference, and whether it's mental health, because we still understand and still know that a shooting is the number one way that people commit suicide, right? And as well as trying to deal with all of the other issues that go back and forth, and certainly the connection with the Youth Bureau to try to make sure that we're helping people understand alternatives to challenges where they might decide that the only option, as was shown in at least the two different instances, at least the latest one in New Rochelle, as well as the one in Queens, where people thought that that was the only option to do that. So with all of these partners, it's going to be fantastic. So we have several dedicated county employees that are also part of this task force. Dr. Christopher John, who's the head of our mobile crisis response team, Liz Oliveto, who's here with us from Youth Development, Ernest McFadden, obviously from the County Youth Bureau, our Executive Director of the County Youth Bureau, Rachel Kadzor from Probation, the Department of Probation. People do not understand how much things the Department of Probation actually does in the prevention world to ensure that that people, when they're in that probation world, will be successful, because that's the whole goal, is to make sure that folks can be as successful as possible in the community, and we're doing everything in the government possible to make that happen. Michael Gerald, Deputy Commissioner Michael Gerald from the Department of Corrections, and certainly the aforementioned Chief of the Department of Public Safety, James Luciano. And the main liaison for this as well. She is a dynamic former legislator, and Catherine Borgia will make sure to continue to do that particular work. We did have in here that to make sure that the task force is set to meet on its first meeting on January 30th, and all of the individuals that have spoken today and the individuals that are in the room, I know that there's that level of commitment. It's not just about words, it's putting their shoulders down and getting work accomplished, and not just for one individual, that in every community doing the absolute best that we can do. Our county's committed to continuing to do that, and with the leadership of Jesus and Deputy County Executive Richard Wisney, that we're going to make sure to get this done. So again, we want to thank everyone that's here this afternoon, and again, this task force is charged, and we are going to make sure that we're making a difference for the people of Westchester and certainly around the state to give that leadership. So thanks again, everyone. For further information, we will continue to show people the things that are happening. We're going to keep an eye out for things that were going on, but we know that this task force is going to make a difference in gun violence prevention here in Westchester County. Thanks a lot for everyone watching. I'm County Executive Ken Jenkins. If there's any other things that come up shortly, we will be back in front of you to bring that information to you. Thanks for watching.